Hey there, and hi there, and it's more of this. I'm gonna do something a little different. My recent selection show just came out. I'm going to preview each and all the games from all the Selector Sunday. Then hopefully I'll be sending as many of the games up to YouTube as possible. So this is gonna be really interesting. I'm gonna do this and probably try my best to do a lot of these, but let's get started. So let's preview the first game, Memphis against the winner of the Idaho State and the Citadel. We're pretty clear Memphis is going to win that. So that's pretty much a pointless game. Next is the 8-9, Washington, Louisiana Lafayette. Washington's been very beatable this year. They've been inconsistent, up and down. Louisiana Lafayette, I believe, was 28-5, I believe. Either way, Louisiana Lafayette looks good. Washington doesn't. I think I'd give the edge to Louisiana Lafayette, but with all the games coming up, you never know. Washington can maybe pull it out. Then you got Florida and St. Joe's. Florida has been overrated all year. St. Joe's won the Missouri Valley just to get in. I don't think they're good enough to pull an upset. I have to go with the Gators here, but really, this is not a great Gators team. UMass and UC Irvine. I'm going with UMass, even though UC Irvine has been very good in my tournaments before. I just think UMass, they won the A10 tournament, they're hot, they're maybe a sleeper Final Four team. Texas and Stony Brook. Texas. Stony Brook, maybe they have a chance because of Texas's history in my tournament, but I still think Texas is going to move on. Maryland and Indiana. I think this is going to be a 7-10 matchup it's going to be really hard to predict. Yeah, Maryland, they, as the exact same seed in my legacy last year, went all the way to the Final Four. Indiana, I don't even think they made the tournament last year. I have to give the edge to Maryland because of the Final Four experience. Vanderbilt, Mercer, 3-14. Vanderbilt, I think, will come away with the win here. Don't know much about Mercer other than the beat Duke, and it's very possible they can beat Vanderbilt, but I don't see it happening. Then finally, Duke against Auburn. If you have a Duke-Mercer rematch, that'd be interesting, but Duke has disappointed me this year. And then they have been the number one overall seed 2 straight times. Once, they won the title. Last year, they fell in the Elite Eight to eventual champion UNLV, who was a 6 seed. So now Duke's in the 6th line, so maybe they could do some UNLV magic. I don't know, but I do think they'll get by Auburn, at least. Auburn, they don't impress me much. They're pretty much snuck into the field at large from the Big East. Yes, I moved them there. A lot of switch conferences, but I just think Duke is going to win one game, then probably lose to Vanderbilt, maybe even Mercer. So that does it for the first bracket. Let's move down to the bracket where NC State's a top seed. The game against Idaho, I think they obviously move on there. Here comes an interesting 8-9. Iowa State against Oregon. Both of these teams have been streaky and have been up and down. Both haven't had a whole lot of NCAA tournament experience as of late. I'm going to give the edge to Oregon a little bit. This is a coin flip. If you answer in the comments, you go Iowa State or Oregon. I'm kind of... Both of these teams have been inconsistent in my game. If you want to see their records, go to my most recent selection show. 5-12 Michigan Gonzaga. Gonzaga made it to the Elite Eight as a 10 seed last year. Michigan wasn't even in last year. I'm going to go with Gonzaga here. I'm going with the upset because of Gonzaga's experience. Northwestern now against Portland. I'm giving the edge to Northwestern. Portland's been kind of... Northwestern, even though they've been kind of goofy at times this year, they had an upset loss in the Big Ten tournament. They've still had a pretty good team, and I think they get by this game. Marquette, Miami. This is a game that's been... Miami pretty much was up on the bubble going in, I believe. They got in. Marquette, they're always a sleeper team. And I wouldn't count anyone out, especially Marquette. I'm going to give them the edge here. South Florida, who won the conference tournament against Holy Cross. South Florida's too hot. I have to give them the edge over Holy Cross. Now here is when things get a little weird. Seton Hall against Bakersfield. Yes, Bakersfield's actually in this game in the America East Conference, and they're a 10 seed. Why? They only have 3 losses the entire season, and Seton Hall has been nothing special. I believe they lost in the semifinals of the Big East tournament to Cal. I'm gonna give Bakersfield the edge here. Neither of them have had a lot of experience, so there's gonna be no experience edge, so I'm gonna give the edge to Bakersfield, and then I have Pittsburgh beating Southern, obviously, in 2-15. Up next, here comes a surprise 1 seed, Air Force. Yes, Air Force. They won the Mountain West tournament. They have like 2 or 3 losses all year. I really love this Air Force team. I give them the edge over Tennessee Tech. Arizona State against Baylor. Baylor's a candidate to beat Air Force. I have them beating Arizona State at least. I don't think they'll beat Air Force, but even though they're a 9 seed, this is a team that plays a lot better in the 9 seed. I love this Baylor team. They are great. And then you got UConn against San Jose State. UConn and Ohio State are talented enough to win it all. I'll get to Ohio State in a second, but UConn has the edge over San Jose State. Ohio State now. They face Old Dominion in round 1, and I give the Buckeyes the edge. Ohio State, they are just so good. They've had some ugly losses this year, including a very bad loss to Duke, but still, this is a team that they've bounced back from that, and I like their chances. I have them beating Old Dominion. Stanford and Wisconsin, this feels like the Rose Bowl. And then 6-11, geez, Wisconsin was on the bubble. Stanford, at least one bubble team advances like every time. I think I'm giving Wisconsin the edge, just because Stanford hasn't been too great, but neither is Wisconsin, so Wisconsin, though, I think will win. USC, Coppin State, I'm giving the edge to USC, frankly, just because I think they're the better team there. Iowa, now here's when things get interesting. Iowa, Nebraska. A Big East, Big 12 battle. I moved Cal, Iowa, several different teams to the Big East, so possible Cal, Iowa, Big East battle in round 2. I give Iowa the edge to Nebraska over Nebraska, just because Iowa, as an 11th seed, made it all the way to the Final Four a few years ago in my legacy, so they will beat Nebraska, and then I have Cal beating Akron. Watch out for Cal to be a surprise national champion. This is a team that has been. It's very scary. You wouldn't want to play Cal. Now let's move on down to our final bracket. Well, Notre Dame, Longwood, obviously Notre Dame. Georgetown against Oklahoma. Georgetown. Nope. Oklahoma. They've actually won. They have a lot more experience. They've been to the NCAA tournament a lot the past few years, including to 2 straight Final Fours and winning a national championship in my legacy, which was their first ever. I have to give them the edge over because they're playing Georgetown. There's no way they're losing to Georgetown, at least in my opinion. Boston College against TCU, 5-12. Well, this is TCU won the Big 12 tournament. They're on a roll. I think they'll at least upset Boston College, a team who's been kind of disgusting or gross to watch this year. No offense to the Boston College fans, but they've just don't play pretty basketball. And then you got Texas A&M out of the SEC against Big Ten tournament champ Michigan State. At 2015, Michigan State won the Big Ten just to make this field. Texas A&M is a Final Four contender. I have to give the edge to the Aggies. And well, what else is there to say? Alabama against VMI. VMI with the upset. Although, if Alabama wins, I could see them going far because they lost in the title game, a heartbreaker in that last year's national title game to UNLV as a free seed. What I just realized, we could see Alabama UNLV round 2, a title game rematch, if that happens, but I don't see it happening. Because I have VMI beating Alabama. I have UNLV beating Green Bay, although it's possible there for Green Bay. Davidson against Kentucky. This is going to be a really fun game. Davidson, Kentucky. Oh, man. I have to give the edge to Kentucky, though, because there's no Steph Curry on this Davidson team. Then I have Virginia Tech over Jacksonville. Who are my final four picks out of each region? Out of this region, despite the experience of UNLV and how good Virginia Tech's been, I have to go with the top seed, Notre Dame, out of the first bracket. Out of the last bracket. Out of this bracket, I have to give the edge to Cal, out of this region. I think they'll beat Ohio State, though, in the Elite Eight. I don't see the top seed Air Force getting by. As good as they are, I love this Air Force team. I just don't think they can beat it. They haven't played enough quality opponents. So I have them losing to Ohio State. Next. Over here, I'm going to have South Florida winning this region in my predictions. That's a bit of a surprise, but I think South Florida's good enough. And they're hot enough. And the last region, I have to go with the number one overall seed, Memphis. Although UMass is dangerous, and I think, and in the end, I've Notre Dame over Memphis. I think the Fighting Irish are gonna. This is no bias. This is no bias. I think Notre Dame. They've been to the Final Four in my legacy like 2 straight years. So I think this is the year they finally peak. It's not because I'm a Notre Dame fan. It may sound like it, but it's not. But they've been 2 out of 3 years. I think this is the year for the Fighting Irish. I think the Irish win the national championship over Memphis. Now, thanks for watching. I'll try as best as I can to bring the games as soon as I can. It might be a long wait. It might not be. But when I can, I'll post as many as I can. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this bracket breakdown. I can't wait to see it during all the games.